This motherfucker has a type, and his type is just a fucking ran through taco.
Not necessarily. Morathi only had one son, right?
Morathi's an exception, but she fucked her son.
Was that pre or after he became a crispy piece of bacon?
Stop while you're ahead.
So I was looking at more of PancreasNoWork stuff from the last video we watched, which is just kind of every faction explained. I was really interested in the Dark Elves and the Tomb Kings. I have been informed since last video, and thank you for this, because I wasn't really a fan of the end times and its kind of finality. Age of Sigmar came afterwards, and that kind of like revitalized the franchise, so that's good. Let's see here. The big one was None for me, 77. Thank you. That was very, very cool of you. And then there was also someone else that dropped like a lot of like good detailed lore. That was very helpful. Just some background knowledge and stuff. And someone actually recommended this Morathi video, which I already had on the docket, because why would I not want to learn more about the Dark Elf Dommy Mommy? Oh yeah, I'm very excited for this one. Hopefully this sounds good. Turn it up like up to there. And of course, naturally, as soon as I start streaming, that's when there's buffering. Hold on. Thank you, Internet. I appreciate.
You know what phrase indicates that you're a weak, feeble human being? I can fix her. That right there, that's the kind of attitude that shows you're a coward.
Okay, turn that down a little bit.
Gentleman crap is what it is. You're really gonna go up to a dark elf lady and go, yeah, I can fix that. No, you aren't. You're not fixing anything today. And what we're not fixing today for this video is Morathi, the mother of the Druchii, mother of Malekith.
I will say this, I love a woman that'll actually just kill me. Despite the persona I might have built up on stream, I'm a good boy. And boy howdy, do I need a woman to just make me worse. So, I'm down for this.
Evil sorceress older than almost everyone else in the setting, and tall hot lady. Very tall hot lady. She's been a Slanesh cultist, a faction leader, a goddess, and more. And overall, she's a pretty horrible person in pretty much every way you can imagine. And you know what the right attitude to take when discussing her is? It's not, I can fix her. That is not why I'm here today. The attitude I'm bringing to the table now is simple. I'm going to talk about Morathi, her lore, her tabletop.
Hold on, I know I'm already like sidetracking here, but hold on, I want to look something up. Because, alright, this relationship just sprung the idea in my head. What was it? It was Fire and Ice. Evil Queen. Okay, here we go. So, I'm a big Frank Frazetta fan. And they actually made a movie inspired by his artwork called Fire and Ice, and it kind of reminds me of this because there was like an evil queen and her son. Very good movie, very beautifully animated. Go check it out.
And how she can make me
worse.
You hear me loud and clear out there, everyone?
What'd that say?
Her tabletop.
I didn't know what it said, but
make me worse.
Mommy.
You hear me loud and clear out there, everyone? I'm not here to discuss why she's a horrible person. I'm here to get stepped on. Sit down, shut up, and listen to the worst lore video you're ever going to watch in your life, because I'm down bad, and I'm not getting better about it. But before we start, though, imagine this. Let's say you are a dark elf after some invasion or other. You serve
I'm a dark elf.
Well, and now you've got some downtime to kill. You want to take some time to feel good after a successful raid. You know the perfect way to de-stress? Adam and Eve, the sponsor of today's video. Let's be upfront about what you're getting here. Adam and Eve make adult toys. All different kinds. Any sort of toy you can think of, Adam and Eve has.
You know what? It's a sponsor on here. I'm sure he's fine.
Except instead of boring paintings and sculptures, it's the finest adult toys known to mankind. They've got anything you can think of to spice up your life a bit. But maybe you're thinking you'd like to keep things on the
I'm shaking my head.
Not to worry, Adam and Eve has discreet shipping just for you. They've got 24/7 customer service and a 90-day return policy.
Is it like SOS condoms? Are they going to pretend to be a police officer?
50 years, so you can rest easy knowing they're making quality products only. And just to put the pop cherry on top, 20% of their profit goes to fighting the spread of HIV. That's a worthy cause if I've ever heard one. And just to spice up this already saucy offer, here's a deal from me to you. This video is sponsored by AdamandEve.com. Use code Pancreas for 50% off one item, plus free
You know what,
shipping
at
in
least it's
the
not
US
Bad
and Canada,
Dragon.
plus free
I
raw
have not heard
processing.
good things
Some
about
exclusions
them.
apply. So what are you waiting for?
From
Shop at
a
Adam and Eve
trusted
today and
source.
start feeling good.
No,
Now
it's
then,
not
let's
me.
continue being down horrible. Morathi long ago was once nothing
Much of a monster fucker as I
particularly
am.
special to the elves. She's so goddamn old that she was alive when the elves were all one faction, and the Great Catastrophe hadn't occurred yet, meaning the elves' existence up to now had been chilling out on Ulthuan and nothing else.
Okay, so are these like Tolkien elves? So they just live forever because fuck it?
No demons,
Long
no
as they don't get
medieval
murdered.
Civil War. They weren't even aware of the dwarfs yet. She did, however, have two things to set her apart. She was beautiful beyond compare even back then, and since she was 11 years old, she kept receiving visions of
back then?
worldwide doom and destruction. For whatever reason, she could foresee the Old One's gates at the poles erupting into chaos demons. No one believed her, though, despite the fact she did everything in her power to convince the elves of the coming danger. In her mind, it was because she thought the elves were so content.
You guys think that's why they don't let us pass the Antarctic wall? Like, you guys think it's really weird that every government just, like, agrees that you're not allowed up there? You guys think that the Chaos Gate's up there? We would never know. We're never allowed up there.
Content and complacent in their paradise world the Old Ones were creating for them that they just couldn't comprehend things going so wrong. Personally, I think it's just because our only argument was to go look how hot I am to convince people that the world was ending. When your best defense against a counter-argument is to go look how great my tits are, you probably aren't winning the hearts and minds of the people. At least not in the way you want. Well, turns out she was absolutely right, because those gates exploded and demons were everywhere. Old Ones peace out, lizardmen go into full panic mode and wage a world war to stop them, and the elves were there.
Okay, now I'm curious what happens, because she was, like, warning about this stuff, and then he said she was a Slanesh cultist?
Part also tried to fight with much less initial success. About the only fellows doing anything with any amount of success were Kaled or Dragon Tamer, a wizard so powerful he could give Teclis a run for his money, and an Aryan. An Aryan in particular is important, because he had just lost his wife and kids to chaos. His kids lived, as it turns out. But
I think this guy is, like... He's basically, like, the God Emperor of the Elves, right? He's just a turbo badass, like, elf king. Very, oh, fuck, what's the elf god from D&D? Is it, like, Colian or something? Where he had, like, an elven wife, and then... I think they made, Lolth, like, super envy and jealous of him. And then that was what caused the schism between the High Elves and the Dark Elves.
He didn't know that, and in his grief, he and Morathi comfort each other in the dark times of the Great Catastrophe. By which I, of course, mean absolutely ball-busting sex. She also brewed them sleeping potions because the Great Catastrophe was the sort of thing that gave everyone PTSD before the trauma was even finished, which is actually kinda heartwarming. All was not well for the couple, however, in case the fact that it only came about because an Aryan was grieving over the received death of his family didn't clue you in. Morathi for her part did come to truly love an Aryan. An Aryan, however...
Isn't this image fitting? Probably not. Did I want to remind people this existed? Yeah. Fuck, he's right. I forgot about Romeo and Juliet. Like the fucking Suicide Squad game you just forget about until someone mentions it.
Was, shall we say, a bit more reserved on that front. He had a number of reservations about her, even disregarding that, chiefly among them being he felt she was looking into their chaotic enemies just a wee bit too closely. He acknowledged that she was hot as all hell, but unlike almost everyone else alive at this point, that's about all he cared to say on the matter. He wasn't hypnotized by her beauty, he just kinda acknowledged it. The same could be said for the temper she had. Anarian was the sort of guy who fought a dozen greater demons before it was noon, so Morathi's status as a sorceress who would occasionally fly into a blinding rage was at most slightly concerning as far as his safety went. That's part of what drew her towards him, since he was the only one who wouldn't leave the room as soon as possible when she started throwing a magical hissy fit. Despite everything she had going, that's
actually really badass.
The issue of her being a bit too interested in dark magic, like I said, and Anarian's true love was his previous wife, Asteriel. Morathi was really just a shoulder for him to cry on, and you know how the rest of that saying goes, I'm sure.
Oh, she was the rebound girl.
Morathi was ultimately an enemy of everything he knew and loved. He nearly struck her down when he left her for the final time, and it was a very near thing. The only true positive he felt came out of their relationship was their son Malekith, and who boy isn't that a loaded sentence. What also didn't help matters was that Kalidor, Anarian's best buddy, also didn't trust Morathi in the slightest, and was very clear about his stance on the matter. As he was leaving for his final battle, Morathi told Anarian that she loved him, but he didn't reply. Do keep this moment in mind, because it's probably the last time Morathi is sympathetic in a way that isn't just...
Oh no. Like, I love you. That's cool.
Pathetic. After he plopped the Sword of Cain back in its altar and cursed his bloodline forever, she looked all across Ulthuan for him, but on account of him being dead, never found an Aryan. After that whole business with the world nearly ending was concluded, Morathi proved every single person who thought ill of her right by founding the cults of pleasure. She also tried to subtly guide her son Malekith towards the Phoenix Throne, because she figured she might as well hedge her bets with being in charge of everyone. She gifted him nice things like a fancy boat and helped him along in his quests, and when Malekith was turned down in favor
So it is fire nice.
of Belshazzar becoming the Phoenix King, she was more upset about the matter than he was. She plotted all the while, and things came to a head when Malekith returned from his adventures across the world and was put in charge of dealing with the cults of pleasure. This ended up being a bit awkward when Malekith started purging the cults of pleasure, and one fateful day found out that his mother was the one in charge of them. Malekith debated killing Mommy Dearest then and there, but she promised him the full support of the pleasure cult.
Oh boy, that's some bad hentai right there.
And giving him the Phoenix Throne in exchange for her life. After a few days of fierce fighting and deliberation, he decided he'd side with her. Unfortunately, for all the cunning and brilliance those two have by modern Warhammer fantasy, it would appear all of that was gained over the course of the 1,000 years.
Why is there Among Us?
From Ulthuan? Because their initial plan to put Malekith on the Phoenix Throne was taken straight from the playbook of a 12-year-old playing Among Us. Malekith assembled the elven princes and loudly announced that Belshazzar was a traitor and member of the pleasure cults. And the evidence he and Morathi had for this brilliant scheme? Trust me, bro, I'm Malekith. To the
trust me, bro, I'm Malekith, and look how hot my mom is.
shock of no one but Malekith and Morathi, no one believed him. So they went for plan B.
Shit.
Malekith walking into the flame of Assyrian and killing all the princes. Malekith
there
was
you go.
Fried, a lot of the
by
high
default
princes died,
you winning, son.
Crispy Bacon's son to relative safety. For a little while they waged war against the loyalist elves, and when it looked like they were losing, she tried to undo the magical vortex. It worked, and then when that unleashed all the elves trapped inside of the vortex, it unworked. Morathi got a rogue blacksmith of all to make Malekith his discount Darth Vader armor, and then they fled to Nagaroth. Now Morathi's activities between then and the 10,000 years later of modern Warhammer fantasy are varied, but also pretty much the same thing every time. The specifics change, but overall she fell into a pretty predictable pattern. Her and Malekith would plot against each other, it wouldn't work, they'd kind of make up, and then invade Ulthuan. Imagine that, but stretch it out over a 10,000 year period.
Coffin of Andrew and Renee, which I still need a fucking update for. Still waiting on that one. Modders.
And that's about what she got up to. One time she killed a love interest Malekith had because she was afraid she would make Malekith a nicer person all around, and he wasn't happy with that one in particular. She also dueled Teclis during the most brutal of the Dark Elf invasions at the Battle of Finneval Plain on Ulthuan.
Oh, okay.
But despite her being a monstrous mage from prehistory, Teclis is Teclis and therefore won by default.
I would eat my entire ass.
At one point she talked to Kalidor again, and they had a nice pissing contest where Morathi called him a frail shadow of his former self. To be fair to her, he did look like a skeleton.
He changed.
So I don't blame her for thinking that. She told him one of the reasons she wanted to destroy the world with the vortex was because Kalidor didn't want it destroyed, which is petty beyond mortal comprehension. This was then eventually followed.
Sounds like Warhammer, I'm not gonna lie.
Not actually a desiccated corpse of an elf, but still firmly in his prime, and Morathi was sent packing. Officially, she's one of the chief priestesses of Cain, presiding over his cult. She uses her status as the chief hag priestess to bathe in a cauldron of blood, which keeps her youthful appearance because of magical reasons that probably make sense.
Please tell me the official term is Grand Hag Priestess, or whatever he said. Oh, that meaning is so different nowadays, and I love it.
Sense if you're a dark elf. Unofficially, at least in older lore, she's also back on the grind of being the head of the pleasure cults as well, which she reformed into the Dark Elves' land. Elves in fantasy aren't like the Eldar in 40k, and there's nothing stopping them from worshipping Slaanesh aside from it being a bad idea in general. Sure, Slaanesh does still prefer elven souls above all others, but she doesn't instantly consume them like over in 40k. She would frequently be surrounded by demonettes at parties, and those parties usually had a 100% mortality rate for people who weren't named Morathi. In newer lore,
what was his name in Wrath of the Righteous, the Pathfinder video game? He was your group healer. Why was he a healer? Because his parties were so wild and debaucherous, he picked up healing because it was getting a problem with all the corpses lying around.
She was retconned to be an important figure in the worship of the goddess Atharti.
You're speaking of the elven twink.
Oh, hey Vulcan. What's up?
Yeah. I merely exist.
Welcome. You wanna come watch Warhammer with me?
I've already read everything under the sun about this, but I will watch along, I suppose.
There you go. You can give me insight.
Own goddess of pleasure. This is because GW started treating the elves like the
Oh,
Eldar
you're
and
watching
decided
the-
they're all horrified of Slaanesh.
You're watching
in
the
same
Dark Elves,
way.
though. They're
She's
fucking
also a firm
bitches.
worshipper of the goddess
They're
of
all
God damn it, Vulcan! You've been here
You're
for
on
like 2
Twitch.
seconds.
You're on Twitch. It doesn't matter.
It's going on YouTube. I could just
I
censor
don't-
that, but
You're fine. You're fine.
anyways, as I was gonna say, I did watch a video of just like all the factions explained. I'm not gonna lie, the ones that kind of drew me in the most was the Dark Elves, just because of like the similarities to Elric, Milna Benet, and the Tomb Kings. Tomb Kings seemed fucking wild.
The Tomb Kings are interesting just because of how they operate, but either way, can't really say much on them because they are a funny little thingamabob.
Arti, Athardi's sister and the goddess of dark magic. This is both because she's a sorceress and naturally wants to get that sweet god magic, and because the two divine sisters don't like each other and like to snipe each other's followers. It's equal part worship and hedging her
Sounds
bets.
about right,
Another difference
sisters.
between the old lore and new lore is that whole business with Malekith. You know the business, the mother of all Oedipus complex's business. That was moved away from as time went on in fantasy. Whether or not
God
you
damn
choose
it.
to believe the older or newer lore on exactly how close Morathi and her son were is up to you, but I choose
They moved away from the incest for the evil people.
to believe the newer lore because it makes it slightly less gross when I say that I want to drown between
It's
Morathi
almost like they're
plagues.
fucking
I
evil or
accepted
something,
that
have
I
no
am not getting
morals.
full monetization on this video. As a general rule of thumb, Morathi is responsible for all aspects of Dark Elf culture that Malekith isn't, and she probably had a hand in those too. For instance, while Malekith
Like Andy and
instituted
Lele.
Cain as their
Like,
chief
ew,
god,
that's
Morathi
gross,
is the leader of the
incest. Yeah,
cult
it's
of
almost
Cain
like they're
and thus the
horrible
one who
fucking
handles the
people.
specifics. It makes it very fun when they decide they want the other dead, because one of them is the undisputed king and the other one is the one who people have to most often directly deal with. Usually it involves every assassin one sends after the other horribly dead, and a stern talking to from Malekith to Morathi that you better cut the crap. She does for a few dozen years, then tries to kill him again. Sometimes she gets exiled, and then she comes back. Repeat ad nauseum. Despite her maybe not Slaanesh worship, she has acted against the Chaos worshippers to the north of the Dark Elves' territory. She seduced them to her side, fought them tooth and nail, and generally is as much a pain in their ass as she is for the High Elves. There was one instance where she built them a massive palace of their own and gifted them absurd amounts of wealth to convince them to pledge loyalty to her and Malekith. If you're mostly a 40k fan and think it sounds odd that Chaos followers would work with non-Chaos folk, remember that the Norskins as often as not just want to survive, and any source of glory
Yeah, it was
is good
just
enough
straight
for
up just
them.
'cause they
Serving
had
the
to.
Dark Elves in battle will get
I made this connection last time, I think, in Pillars of Eternity, and it's really a shame what Avowed did to that universe. It was really cool. The like snow elves worship the god of like destruction and decay because he was also the god of winter, and his shit sucks out there. So they always have to deal with that stuff, so they have a god for it. And also, please don't send that shit our way. He's such an asshole. Shocker. Okay, all the gods in there are kind of assholes. None of them are like good gods, except maybe one of them, and the others killed him.
Khorne as blood and skulls just as well as fighting for only Khorne, and Morathi knows damn well that's the case. Compared to Malekith, she's a lot sneakier with her schemes like this, willing to do more than bash people's brains in to get what she wants. That's not to say that Malekith can't be cunning, or Morathi can't use brute force.
I
when
do
need be.
legitimately
They've just got
kinda like their
preferences for getting
dynamic.
Things done. And the last thing before we move
The
on to the end
noble
times is
prince,
one final
swordsman's
difference between
son,
Lore
and
Newer
then the
Lore.
evil
Much like
sorceress
her,
mother.
relationship with her son has changed, so has her general mentality. And I mean that very literally, because as Warhammer reached its 8th edition, she was given dementia. She occasionally thinks she's still
that's a
in an Arian's
shame.
time and will look for a husband desperately, and it's just sad.
Are
And in the
you
end
fucking
times, it
kidding
only
me?
gets worse.
I got an
Elven
assignment
civil war
wrong
comes to
'cause
a
I
head, and when Tyrion pulls the Sword of
misspelled
Cain,
my
she goes
teacher's
fully
name.
insane and thinks he's an Aryan reborn. As Teclis is trying to bind the
I
Winds of
had
Magic to the incarnate,
teachers like
Morathi
that,
also
dude.
is
It's
the one who
rough.
really screws
Even
the
though
pooch on
even
that
though
and
I
messes
put
up
her
that
exact
ritual. She
fucking
once
name,
again
I'm not
completely
putting
unbinds
I'm
the
not
vortex
putting
and
Mr. or
frees
Mrs. for
Ulthuan
this
and takes
answer.
down a
You
number of the
wanted your
mages
name,
trapped
you're getting
inside
your
who were
name.
keeping it going. Good old Kalidor Dragon Tamer gets the last laugh though, because as
I'm a
Slaanesh begins
grown-ass
to enter the
fucking man.
material
I don't have
plane, he
time
gives
for this
Morathi
shit.
one final middle finger. As the ritual was coming to an abrupt end, Morathi tried to flee on account of not wanting to get Slaaneshed. Then Kalidor comes in with the people's elbow and drags Morathi into Slaanesha's maw with him. No, he didn't
My
actually use a
God.
wrestling move.
Wait,
Come
was that
on.
Malekith? Hold on. Malekith just brought her with him.
An abrupt end, Morathi tried to flee on account of not wanting to get Slaneshed. Then Kalidor comes in with the people's elbow and
I know,
drags
it's
Morathi into
Kalidor.
Slanesh's maw with him. No, he didn't actually use a wrestling move, but come on, tell me the mental image doesn't make it better. And at least as far as I'm concerned, that's the most important bit of Morathi in the end times. She
What's
pushed
that
Tyrion
AI
to be
song? I'm gonna
crazier,
stone
and
cold
she got
stunner your
killed.
mom.
In terms of what she actually did, not much.
Going to commit
But
a
in terms of the
fucking felony.
ramifications, I can comfortably say she ruined almost everything. Oh, she was also revealed to be the mortal incarnation of Hecate. You would think that would mean something, but much like almost every plot...
Who the fuck is Hecate? Hold on. I don't know why I tapped out for that. Or like, minimized for that. Warhammer... Fantasy... Hecate? Or Hikari? No, that's not it. Hecate.
I'm gonna commit a fucking crime, I swear to God.
Calm down. Oh, the Hydra Queen. And the Mistress of Magic is the Elven goddess of conjurations. Okay, no, okay. I think they touched on this a little bit. They threw a lot of names at me here. It's said to be everywhere. Okay.
point in the end times? It doesn't. But we're not done with the Dommy Druchii mommy yet, because she comes back in Age of Sigmar. Somehow Morathi returns in Olgu, the realm of shadow. For a while she was alone with nothing but beings of pure shadow she created with her magic, until eventually she found Malekith, who I will not refer to as Malarian because I simply do not care for the name change. Unlike her, Malekith was now a true god, as were Tyrion and Teclis. Rather understandably, this made her a bit upset. Not that she really deserves godhood, but I get the frustration. She did, however, have one thing going for her: the key to accessing Slaanesh to steal away the devoured elven souls in her stomach. She may not be a god, but she's still got some leverage, and more to the point, a reason for the other three elven deities not to just end her life. They split the souls amongst themselves to try and recreate the elves of old with, and naturally, Morathi dicked around with the ritual to ensure she got
I love this is just a common plot for the elves, like, we used to be kick-ass. And now we're not. Let's try to regain that, and it always fucks up horribly. Veilguard.
Did. Coupled with this was her getting quite the lucky break when she came into contact with Cain's heart, and she did not let that gift go to waste. She assembled together the Daughters of Cain faction, dedicated to restoring Cain to his former glory via worship of the dead god. Once again, however, she was being the sneakiest git.
I don't know how I felt about them being named Cain.
That would otherwise resurrect him into herself.
Wait, important question. Is it Cain with a C or Cain with a K? Because if it's K, that's another like sword and sorcery character that this faction might get inspiration from. It was Wagner that wrote the Cain stories, and it's so badass. It's so brutal, and he's such an asshole. But goddamn it, if he isn't badass.
Though, of course, she tried to seduce the other gods and get into their good graces, because hey, she's still hot as hell and it always worked before. Unfortunately for her, the only choices as far as gods go weren't great, so she never had much success. There's Tyrion and Teclis, who hate her, Malekith, who only hates her slightly less than he used to, Sigmar, who couldn't care less about Morathi if he tried, Ilariel, who also hates her and would probably have her crucified on magical branches, the dwarf gods, who almost certainly also hate her for what she did to their kin in the old world, Gorkamorka, who you cannot seduce because he's the orc god and probably doesn't even understand sex. And last but not least, Nagash. She tried to seduce Nagash. Nagash, who is A, a skeleton, and B, taller than a Wraith Knight. Not only did this not work, because of course it did,
saying that she wanted to bone
her so goddamned hard that her true form as
a monstrous
snake creature was revealed. After this, she was forced to contend with the fact that in Age of Sigmar, she can no longer sleep her way to power and influence. For a while, she was being pretty low-key with everything.
Oh no, you are Master Thief!
For Cain, but one day she decided she would act decisively. She dealt with the Idenit to get a lantern from them that would allow her to enter Slaanesh again, which incidentally,
what the fuck is that thing? It looks like the dragon you can ride in Skyrim. You know, the one that looks like a Down syndrome. Is that like a unicorn fish? Oh fuck. I think it is. It has a tail. It's got fins.
away from him. She entered Slaanesh not just to get more souls, but specifically to steal the power of the previous Phoenix King Slaanesh had inside of her. Each of them had a bit of Assyrian's power within them, which coincidentally also means that Malekith being the one true Phoenix King has been retconned. Thank God. When she reached the last and first one, Anarian, she paused. Even after countless eons and the end of the world, she still held some small bit of love for him. But do you remember how he didn't say he loved her back at the end? Absence did not make his heart grow fonder, and he cut her soul in two. Because of this, Morathi's attempt at godhood both did and didn't work. On the plus side, she was now a full goddess. Good for her.
Yay.
On the downside, there's a whole lot of crap she has to deal with now because of it. The first thing she did upon reaching godhood was annexing the city of Anvilgard from under Sigmar's
Cole,
nose.
what is that thing? Giant Hydra thing is badass. It's like a Hydra face hugger.
She had the excuse of the fact it was going to be crushed by
Like this big blue thing.
Oh, it's the deep sea thing the elves really like enslaving.
You know that checks out.
in a rampaging destruction.
That's some Lovecraftian horror too. I'm down.
The fact she's now a full god means Sigmar and the rest are going to be watching her like a hawk. And now instead of being able to choose between looking like the hottest elf ever or the hottest snake monster ever, she's now one being with two bodies.
Always snakes.
The elf version is Morathi Kane, and the snake lady is now the Shadow Queen. The Shadow.
I don't know if this is just my background. Again, the Frank Frazetta thing. I never really found snakes that sexy as like a symbolism for like allure. I was always more of a panther guy.
Shadow Queen seems to have gotten a bit more of Kane's influence than she would have liked.
Again, that was the Frank Frazetta, you know, hot chicks with like beast companions.
She's on the warpath to rematch
or like dudes fighting beast men.
We still get bodied, and Morathi is having issues reining her in. It's looking more and more likely that the Shadow Queen half of Morathi is going to be causing some diplomatic issues in the future. And despite now becoming a proper god, Sigmar still deems her beneath his notice, which pisses her off to no end. Instead of dealing with her himself, he sent the Celestin Prime to do it. She wasn't happy with the implication
Celestin Prime sounds badass.
But they disappeared into a room for a while, and when they came out, Morathi was allowed to have Anvilgard in exchange for all the Stormcast within the city. She renamed the city Har Kuran and is contending with the fact that everyone inside of it would rather her not be in charge. Interestingly enough, the dwarf god Grungni of all people told the Celestin Prime to just let her have the damn city. Like I said before, never would have thought he cared for her in the slightest. Maybe she should have tried her luck getting into his pants. The problems don't end there either. Her daughters of Cain are having a bit of a religious schism at the moment, with many of them being appalled and angry over the fact Morathi lied about their whole religion. Or rather, the fact that she lied about using the power she was stealing to resurrect Cain. The divide between those loyal to her and those who aren't is becoming more and more divisive as time goes on. She also had a nice little chat with Malekith, who criticized her for blundering into godhood in a way that managed to piss off pretty much every faction in the setting. She told him he couldn't talk down to her and cut off his fingers, but he's made of shadow, so it didn't really do much to him. When she told him about Tyrion moving against him, Malekith informed her he was well aware and was taking steps to counter the god of Hysh, which impressed her a bit and made her regard her son just a little bit more fondly. Not much, but hey, they aren't trying to kill each other anymore and they're sort of working together, so it's an improvement from fantasy.
There you go.
She leaves the conversation by going to crush a revolt against her in Anvilgard and basking in the glory of her newfound divinity. Oh, when Nagash attacked her with Nighthaunt because he thinks the soul she used to ascend to godhood belonged to him. But that's a non-statement. That's his standard operating procedure. Me telling you Nagash is complaining about people not handing their souls to him is the same as me telling you water is wet. I'm assuming you knew that already. Now looking back on the script, I'm worried I might have taken the piss out of Morathi just a bit too much. And to be fair, she failed to successfully put Malekith on the throne of...
I'm not gonna lie, just the design of these two is really cool. I do kind of like the sex appeal armor. It's very nice. But also just the idea of just like a burnt, crispy dude encased fully in like special armor is also really cool. I know he made the Darth Vader joke, but reminds me of the old folklore of like Iron John.
Ulthuan failed to retake Ulthuan over the course of 10,000 years, wasn't even a god like almost every other returning elf character in AOS, and when she did finally become a god, it was in possibly the most offensive way she could have done it. So let's just clear the water on this. Morathi is monstrously competent and monstrously dangerous. She's one of the strongest mages in all of Warhammer, only really being beaten out by the Slann, Teclis,
I have a
and
college
Nagash.
class with my fucking squad leader.
That's funny.
I scrolled through the names. And I saw insert name here. I'm like, there's no fucking way. I can't be in school with this dude. He's fucking 30 years older than me.
Welcome to
What the
college when
fuck?
you can sign up at any time, Vulcan.
Boo-hoo, I don't care about that. I'm just amazed that someone I work with is actually in my fucking class. What the fuck?
Being basically immortal in fantasy, and now actually immortal in AOS, means that she can spend centuries plotting for a single thing, and almost no one will see it coming until they have to deal with the aftermath of it. She consorts with chaos and has always gotten away with it, and quite frankly, that's probably the ultimate testament to how capable and frightening she can be. Slaanesh demons, especially out of every demon out there, will do their best to make sure you regret dealing with them, and Morathi has never had to face those consequences. Unless your name is Aletha Nar, you would do well to be deathly afraid of what this woman can do, because she can either have a network of spies spanning the entire world blackbag you, or send your very soul to the depths of hell herself. To reinforce this,
Very much, getting like Mafala vibes. Very much just seduction and secrets.
let's look at how monstrous this elf can be in Age of Sigmar. For lore positives of Morathi, she's a cunning sorceress who's held her ground for 10,000 years in Warhammer Fantasy and managed to survive being eaten by Slaanesh. She's crawled her way to godhood inch by agonizing inch and hasn't let anything stand in her way. If you want a character that not only has the strength of will to face the most daunting of challenges, but the cunning and power to do so in a variety of ways, you want her. She's of course also a pick for you if you want a faction leader to be in your army. She founded and leads the Daughters of Cain, and more to the point, she's a goddess now, which is another thing going for her from a lore standpoint. It leads into a couple positives, actually. She's shown growth in ways beyond just character growth. Seeing a character grow and change is always nice, but failing that, seeing them grow physically can be just as cool, and there's no...
I'm pausing because this is very important. I'm sure we've talked about Honey Pop on here before. Best girl of the entire series, Jessie. Like, oh, haha, is going for the MILF option. No, it's because she has the most character development. Yeah, in the first game she was whatever, you know, porn star MILF. But in the second game, she's getting older, she's not getting calls for work, her daughter fucking hates her guts. She's got nothing, like, oh, poor baby. You might be best girl. Lola never fucking changed.
Quite like reaching divinity. If you like returning characters from Warhammer Fantasy, she's of course an ideal pick, with the added bonus that her army is largely also made up of returning Warhammer Fantasy models. Or at the least it's inspired by the Witch Elves from Fantasy for the newer models it has. And finally, for lore positives, attractive dark elf lady who will crush your testicles. I told you I was here for her to make me worse, didn't I? And let me just counter a few of the arguments I can see coming to that statement. She's a monster, ad hominem. She's a dark elf, they're inherently evil. Hasty generalization. She'll just torture you to death. You don't know what I'm into. As for tabletop positives, she's good at everything. Because remember, she's both a snake
Okay, let's see here. Proclaiming herself Cain Reborn, the goddess, Morathi Cain bestrides the realm, summoning snake tendrils of shadow magic to tear apart her enemies. She is a master of manipulation, endlessly cunning, and deathlessly cruel. I don't know what any of this means.
Monster and a sexy lady. Her elf form, Morathi Cain, is quite the spellcaster. She can cast 3 spells a turn and unbind 2, and automatically knows the lore of Shadow. She also has the spell Black Horror of Olgu, which is a nice way to get some easy mortal wounds. With a 4-up...
I think that one might be another... shut the fuck up about Elric and Mildibene. No! You know how many times I summon fucking shadow clouds to kill people? They do that a lot so far. I've only read 2 books.
Save and 6 wounds, she's not exactly the tankiest around.
Well, technically more than 2. I don't know why they like split the books up.
Of Cain unit fight for free. She's treated as a general even if she's not your general, and all units trying to hit her automatically subtract 1 from their roll because of how hot she is. But you don't just get Morathi the main out taking her.
Matahari.
You also get Morathi the Shadow Queen.
Like, alright, we need to execute this spy. Shit. No, it's like, alright, we need to execute this spy. Shit, guys, she's naked. We can't hit her. She's too hot.
Used to be that you could choose to have her transform, or depending on how many wounds she's taken, she'd lose control and do it. But now you take both of her forms at once, since her ascendancy to godhood split her soul in half. Whereas Morathi Cain fights by casting spells, the Shadow Queen's role on the battlefield is to fuck your opponent in the mouth. At twice the number of wounds, she's much tankier, but the most standout
I thoroughly enjoy fucking my enemies in the mouth.
Soul and Iron Heart of Cain rules. Any wounds Morathi takes are instead allocated to the Shadow Queen, and the Shadow Queen cannot take more than 3 wounds per turn. If an ability would kill either of them them outright, the Shadow Queen just takes an automatic 3 wounds and that's it. While the Shadow Queen can't heal, she arguably doesn't need it. Throw her into the middle of the enemy's army. It's probably not going to matter until turn 4 at the least. This pairs nicely with how absurdly powerful the Shadow Queen is in melee. Morathi
I
in
like
melee
that
is
strategy.
okay, but nothing to write home about. The
Wait,
Shadow
what was
Queen
it in 40k? It was the it wasn't the Grail Knights. What were they called? Basically, the Knights' entire strategy was there's so few of them, but they hit like fucking trucks, so they can get through like a lot of units. But if one of them goes down, it's really bad loss.
Dish out dozens of wounds a turn, and she lets some of the Daughters of Cain more monstrous units fight better with a +1 to their attack stat. To top it off, she can fly, and until her stat
Her
line
hatred
starts
and
grading,
bitterness
has 40
given
inches of
monstrous
movement.
form.
There is nowhere safe from her. Use her to take out archers and artillery, throw her at a fragile
Heart
mage
Render,
casting
Crown of
spells, or
Serpents,
just
and
walk her
Venom
into something
Tail.
3 times her size and have her send it straight to hell. There are very few things on the tabletop that have a chance at stopping her, and even some of those aren't safe. If she gets into range of Archaon or Nagash, there's no telling who will win. Even Gotrek isn't safe, although that's tabletop only, I'm sure. In universe, Morathi would graduate from goddess to dead goddess if they fought each other. But while they come as a kit and share a wound pool, they're separate units in the game, meaning you can have Morathi Cain on one end of the battlefield throwing spells around while the Shadow Queen mulches the other end. They're versatile in a way that no one else quite manages because of this, letting you pull off all kinds of tricks to get the upper hand. Very fitting for
That's
Morathi's
nice.
character. And either way, her models are gorgeous. All half jokes about how attractive
Oh,
she is
shit.
aside, Morathi Cain is the epitome of an evil sorceress as far as modeling goes, and the Shadow Queen is beautiful in the way only the most monstrous of models can be.
Dude, I
As for her
love the evil Empress Sorceress aesthetic so
flaws,
much.
though, she's got a
It's
few.
so good.
Lore-wise, she's kind of been playing second fiddle in some way all her life. She was second fiddle to Anarian and Kalador, second fiddle to Malekith, second fiddle
Oh,
to
yeah.
Tyrion and Teclis.
The Marge Simpson problem. For the sake of drama, everything she does just resets in the end.
She has a lot of stumbling blocks in her way. Kind of makes her an underdog, which is appealing in its own way, but just keep everything in mind. She's also evil. Just straight up a horrible person. As I said before,
Yay.
I have no issues with this, but I'm a simp for anyone with 2 X chromosomes and pointy ears. Myrrh notwithstanding. She's directly killed at least thousands and indirectly
Our
got
boy.
millions killed, and between her and Malekith, arguably they put the world in a state that the end times could have happened in the first place. In Age of Sigmar, she's only on the side of order because she wants to build up her own twisted civilization. No one on her side likes
There you
her.
go.
It's just that her
Look, you don't gotta be good to be part of the law faction. You can be lawful evil. You know, you just don't butcher the women and children. No, you take them and you make them your slaves. And your hostages.
choices outside of that are Chaos, the Orcs, and the Skeleman who pimp slap.
Or, you know, my personal favorite, the, alright, we will give you equal rights if you're one of our citizens. Do you want to be one of our citizens? No. Alright. Then we're gonna butcher your corpses, have sex with them, and then put them on crosses so others can see you. You should have chose wisely.
So hard her magic turned off. Morathi is probably the last person you want in your army if you want to be under any illusion you're fighting for a higher purpose, because even her lies to the rest of the daughters...
Bitch, this is Warhammer. I'm not here for a higher purpose.
For all her cunning, she also seems to be completely unaware of the consequences of her own actions. Take her desperate bid to achieve godhood. The idea that the other gods are now going to be extra pissed at her for the action she took to get it just doesn't seem to factor into her equations. She kinda just tells Malekith she can handle it now that she's a proper god, ignoring the fact that Sigmar and Nagash together took on beasts that would have made the Chaos Gods wary, and none of the other gods are slouches either. Between this and when she stole extra souls from Slaanesh early in the setting's history, she's also at least twice now contributed to Slaanesh's prison being weakened and her getting closer to breaking out. This is not only stupid, but ironic, because early on she was worried Slaanesh would be able to break out one day. So she complained about Slaanesh
The cruel twist of fate.
proceeded to make it so Slaanesh would have an easier time getting free. I'm adding 2 and 2 here, and it's
Kinda
coming
like
up
that.
5. I do not understand her line of reasoning. And with the Shadow Queen seeming to be doing its own thing, Morathi is more and more worried of completely losing control over it. It's almost certainly going to kill something it shouldn't have, and then Morathi's going to have to contend with the fact that no one outside her faction likes her, and half of her own faction doesn't either. That's what you get when you steal divinity from the god of murder. As for tabletop cons, the worst is easily her point cost. Since you now take both of them at once,
700 points? I take it that's a lot.
that comes out to a whopping 700 points. Not as bad as Nagash, but you don't get credit for not being half of a 2,000 point army. Both of the models are great at what
Oh,
they
it's
do,
2,000.
but they're
Okay,
massive
wow, that's a
of
lot.
course. You know the drill when I talk about expensive characters by now. Smaller games, she just isn't making an appearance. Larger games, she's the cornerstone of your army. Only being able to take 3 wounds a turn does largely offset this, but you'll probably still either end up forming your battle plan around her, or at least have her be a key component of it. Again, not nearly as bad as other characters since she has some serious staying power. In this case, it's more making sure you use her right. Having the Shadow Queen chase cavalry around all game while the rest of your army gets butchered isn't gonna feel good, so make sure you don't do that. And of course, when one goes, so does the other.
Just protect it the entire game.
And a melee beatstick at the wrong time could cost the game, and while she'll probably have wiped out something important by that point, it's the sort of thing that might take you as a player some getting used to. I feel safe in the assumption that most people will expect only one model to be destroyed when you kill one model, not 2 of them, so it's just something to consider. It's pretty clearly stated in the rules, so it's not like GW is hiding it, you just have to get used to the fact that 2 models have the same pool of HP. Honestly though, that's about all I can say is tricky. For tabletop stuff. Yeah,
I don't know if I can handle that.
Makes her weaker over time,
I can't chew gum and talk at the same time.
She's still disgustingly powerful even as she
Skill
drops
issue.
down. I can't even say you need to
It
worry about
really
the enemy
is.
focusing everything on her or her weaker elven form, because if they do, they're going to hit that wall of not being able to cause any more wounds that turn. And to be clear, it's an entire turn this lasts for, not just a single phase. This is the shortest rules con phase I've ever done because there just isn't much bad to say about her. The best bet you have for dealing with her quickly is managing to inflict wounds on her during both of the player's turns, since those are technically separate turns, but even then, that's 2 turns for her to smash your army to pieces with impunity. I mean, for God's sake, the biggest complaint I have is that I don't understand why Morathi Kane even has her own hit point stat. I feel like I'm missing something that'll either let you snipe Morathi or give them a technical total of 18 wounds, but I can't figure out what. If I'm missing something glaringly obvious, please let me know. She's also, of course, in Warhammer Total War. For the short and sweet of that, you can...
Alright, let's see what we got here. Only the Dark Pegasus to bear a name is Morathi's personal mount.
She is nothing as to what the dude has described for tabletop. She is in her human form only. Elf form.
Which version are you talking about? Because I have learned recently that there is now Age of Sigmar.
Total War is not.
Oh, you're talking
Age
Total
of
War.
Sigmar.
Okay, you're talking Total War.
Yes, the Total War version is nothing like the tabletop version.
Okay, I think he split those sections up though, and now he's talking about Total War. There are 1,001 dark blessings. Morathi enjoys the protection of the dark gods. Blades are turned aside from her bare skin, and spells glance off and effective. Dude, this is what I've been talking about for years, the tactical sluttiness. If she wore armor, I'm sure it would probably hurt her. It's the bare skin that makes her invulnerable. Morathi's strange, magical allure enchants adversaries, making them question their loyalties and allegiances, giving them pause in the thick of battle. Heartrender and the Dark Sword. That's... I'm not gonna lie, that'd be a badass title for a book. When Morathi acquires her paired weapons, she becomes exceptional in combat. This evil combination hexes nearby enemies, causing them to fumble. Blessed by evil, the hag sorceress's allegiance to the ruinous influence of the Chaos Gods empowers the spells at her disposal, and enables her to cast them more frequently. Rituals of Blood. Morathi's ceremonial magic intensified by the blood of the still-living donor amplifies the replenishment and ferocity of her forces.
Grew a small number of DMATs to her faction, and she causes Slaanesh corruption, showing that CA is going for the older approach to her lore. Her voice in the game's the sort of thing to make an appearance in the dreams you don't tell people about. Her model is one slightly adjusted piece of armor away from demonic.
Hold on. I must know. Morathi Total War voice lines. You said the thing, I gotta know. I swear to God, if it's fucking like Claudia Black or something, I'm gonna get banned off Twitch for the noises I'm gonna make.
Morathi.
Morathi.
I have a great many things to see to, so be quick. I speak for the Druchii. What is it you desire? Enter and speak. For time is
These are the diplomatic lines. What's the battle lines?
Battle
Well,
lines
no,
are
it's
much
usually
different.
those.
Morathi, Mother of Vengeance, Shadowy Overseer, Matriarch, First Sorceress. My
Oh, they covered up her
revenge
armor.
comes. Dark deeds.
Okay.
Monetization, and she's a powerful casting lord that can unlock a flying mount with everything around her starting area she needs to have a solid first 20 turns. The downside of this is that all her
Question about the Dark Pegasus, because I have played Dragon Age Inquisition and it is the best mount in the game. Is the Dark Pegasus just like a zombie horse, which is like a sword stuck through its skull?
I think it's just a black Pegasus.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm pretty sure it's just a black Pegasus.
Okay. Thought you said something else.
neighbors hate her,
I
with the
can
starting
say
pack with
something
Mazda
else.
Mundi almost certainly not going to last much longer than that, while Ulthuan is about 5 feet to her right. The Usur do not like Morathi, and Tyrion is sooner or later going to launch a crusade to rip you to pieces, while the Lizardmen do the same from the south, and Kislev of all factions does it from the north. If you're going to play Morathi in Total War, understand you were playing...
Oh god, the fucking what do I do? The Dark Elf Dommy Mommy or the super hot Russian Ice Witch? Oh no.
Elf Techless. And with that, we have Morathi, Sorceress Supreme, Evil Woman, Warhammer's most attractive female character, and second most attractive character overall. I'm sure you can figure out who I put in first. Thank you as always to my wonderful channel members. I can't think of a single comparison joke for this video because everything I come up with is completely awful. So how about I just say thank you for the support. If you'd like to support the channel, feel free to subscribe or become a member.
That's a lot.
Either way, thank you for watching and take care out there.
Wait, there's still like 20
Alright,
seconds.
end of the video. Almost everyone is gone by this point, and everyone left is probably going to keep watching my stuff no matter what I do. I would just like to take this moment to say, I don't blame Malekith in the slightest, and in his shoes, I would too. I mean, come on.
Me
You
too,
see
buddy.
her in Total War? She's just walking around a winter wasteland with those grippers hanging out. I cannot help being this down bad.
Okay, you lost me at the feet. You lost me at the feet, buddy.
Hawk, what is it with you and incest?
I like moms. I like moms, and I'm not gonna be that fucking bitch that's like, oh, there's nothing wrong with fucking stepsister, stepmom. Yeah, there fucking is. You're just too much of a bitch to admit it. Also, she's just really hot. What's that one Ball Buddy comic, the underrated auntie tag?
You know what? You can have your type. I just personally absolutely fucking refuse to ever be the stepfather of another person's child.
Does it mean that's... I mean, would you go and just play someone else's, like, saved game on their PS2?
No, but your type is mothers, for fuck's sake. So you are playing the other save game. You're playing the fucking corrupted second player PS2 cartridge. You know what? No. I know someone who's about to get their fucking second divorce. Fuck it. You'll be the third player. You'll be the fucking coveted Ethernet cable connection.
Make my own fucking save cartridge, you know?
Yeah, and fucking duct tape it to the side with a fucking wire stuck into the second one.
Motherfucker, I'm playing RPG Maker on my PS2. Shit. I dropped my controller.
That's what you get.
The ghost in my room did not like that. The ghost like, I'm the one that's supposed to be scary. Stop it.
This motherfucker has a type, and his type is just a fucking ran through taco.
Not necessarily. Morathi only had one son, right?
Morathi's an exception, but she fucked her son.
Was that pre or after he became a crispy piece of bacon?
Stop while you're ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, was the Slanesh demon like the Slanesh worshiper have standards or something?
I'm not drunk enough for this. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Oh, I like how we've been doing this we've been doing this bit, and it's just been her fucking, like, 2 pixelated, like, feet. Or 2 pixel feet. Haven't I seen that fashion abomination somewhere before? Damn, got him. Z formation. Now, canonically in my head, I now have a wild MILF in my party.